Hello everyone, let me now present to you the first chapter of the course, The Different Perspectives of Self. As shown in the diagram, the self is viewed from philosophical, psychological, sociological, and anthropological perspectives. In this presentation, we'll discuss the first perspective, which is about philosophy. But before that, allow me to present the course outcomes for this particular chapter. There are two important course outcomes for this particular chapter. First, articulate a comprehensive and holistic view of the self. Second, demonstrate critical and reflective thought in analyzing the development of oneself and identity by developing a theory of the self. Here are also the expected outputs for each course outcomes. First, reflection paper about students' answer to the question, who am I, using a metaphor. Second, mini research on the question, what is my ideal man or woman. Third, another reflection paper on the question, what is the essence of man. For the second course outcome, here are also the expected outputs. First, reflection paper on the question, who do you say I am? Second, clarification of personal values. Third, another reflection paper, which is about enriched answer to the question, who I am. Please take note that the guidelines of complying the outputs are found in the blog page. All you have to do is to press or open the link I posted in the chat box in MS Teams. At this point, let me discuss a bit about the philosophical perspective. Philosophical perspective comes from the philosophical tradition of the West, or the Western people. Philosophy is considered as the mother of all sciences. Because philosophy is a big enterprise like any other disciplines, it is usually divided into two divisions in terms of its approaches: systematic approach and historical approach. Under systematic approach or philosophy, we have the following subjects: philosophy of man, which is actually offered in senior high school program; ethics, which is also one of the 8 general education courses offered in the new college curriculum. Then you have social philosophy, philosophy of science, metaphysics, epistemology. Then under historical approach or philosophy, we have the following subjects: Greek philosophy, medieval philosophy, modern philosophy, and contemporary philosophy. In the same way, science is also divided into two divisions, major divisions. The first, natural sciences, and we have the following subjects like biology, chemistry, geology, astronomy, among others. And social sciences like sociology, psychology, anthropology, political science, history, among others. As observed, psychology, sociology, and anthropology are part of social sciences. Now we'll be discussing the lesson 1 of the course, which is about the philosophical perspective. Under this lesson, we are going to discuss the following topics. First, philosophy and science. Second, Socrates, the model of wisdom. Third, dualism, which has 2 forms, extreme and mitigated. The fourth, holism. Fifth, pluralism and postmodern view of self. Then the last, mechanistic view of self. In this video clip, we'll focus our discussion on the first, about philosophy and science. To start our discussion with philosophy and science, we'll try to answer the question, what is philosophy? We have 2 definitions of philosophy, literal and technical definitions. In literal sense, philosophy means love of wisdom. In technical sense, philosophy means the search or the ultimate meaning of everything that exists only in aid of natural reason. Some philosophers, though, claim that philosophy cannot be defined because it is a mental activity each rational being like us has or is capable of. And this is clear in the words of Ludwig Wittgenstein and Gabriel Marcel. Ludwig Wittgenstein said that philosophy is not a body of doctrines because it is a mental activity. Gabriel Marcel also said that philosophy as a mental activity or a reflective act is rooted in our lived experience. The point of Gabriel Marcel is that each one of us, because we are rational beings, we can or we are capable of doing philosophy. Now, based on the definition of philosophy in its literal and technical sense, we can enumerate the characteristics or the following characteristics of philosophy. First, philosophy is characterized by love or passion for wisdom. Second, it is also characterized by the ultimate principle of everything that exists. Third, it is also characterized by natural reason. Now, let me elaborate each of these characteristics of philosophy. Let me start with the first, a love or passion for wisdom. Love or passion is what motivates philosophers to seek for wisdom. This love springs from the inner drive to know all that there is to know in each one of us. Once this inner drive is imbibed, it becomes a passion to know. Meaning, we never stop knowing unless we satisfy our query. This passion for wisdom is often characterized by madness. Just like you experience a romantic love. Philosopher will get madly in love with Sophia or wisdom. For example, Thales. Thales was the first philosopher known in the West, about 600 BC. And, he was very obsessed with knowing of the heavenly bodies. One starry night, he kept on looking at, observing the skies, but not minding his steps, and suddenly he fell into the well. A slave who saw him falling into the well laughed at him. Of course, that is actually the basic reaction of persons, right? It is the classic example of a love of wisdom that results in getting ridiculed. Secondly, you have the ultimate principle. When I say ultimate, meaning the highest or the highest principle that we can think of. The passions or drive to know of philosophers is directly aimed at the ultimate principle, the highest principle possible, which is used to explain all things possible. Since it's the highest principle possible, a philosopher must have a vision of the whole, meaning the philosopher's view or vision is the whole forest, not the individual trees. Philosophers are not fond of knowing individual trees, but they are fond of having the vision of the whole of the forest. Then this vision of the whole is put into words or language. Again, let me give you an example. Again, we're taking the example of Thales. Thales, as a philosopher, had a vision of the whole of reality, that all material things and all forms of life are coming from only one source. With this vision, he theorized that water must be the highest principle possible to explain his vision. Thus he said that life begins in water. This theory was also propounded by Charles Darwin. In addition, all material things like rocks, earth, gas, air come from water. NASA scientists send rover missions in Mars with the aim that they could find some water elements in Mars. Reason, if water exists in Mars, then it is highly possible that life exists there, or it is highly possible that human beings can live in Mars. Imagine a person Thales, who lived in 600 BC, had also a similar idea. The water is a very important element that can support life. Lastly, let me cite some points of similarities and differences between philosophy and science. As I remember, science is defined as the body of knowledge gathered in a systematic way. Both disciplines have something in common. First, philosophers and scientists are motivated by love or passion to know. Second, both also rely on natural reason to explain things, not by faith nor by myths. Let me give you some points of difference between philosophy and science. Philosophers seek wisdom. Scientists, on the other hand, seek knowledge. And scientists are very particular with objective knowledge, but philosophers are particular with integrative wisdom. Meaning, philosophers are particular with the vision of the whole, whereas scientists are particular with minutiae details. Scientist is one who looks at the individual trees but not the whole forest. But philosopher is one who looks at the whole forest but not the individual trees. That's all. Muchas gracias.